With the 24th pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Marjon Beauchamp from the NBA G League's Team Ignite.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit. I actually ended up having my wisdom teeth taken out the night before or the night after the NBA draft. So, of course, I'm recovering when all of the free agency news is going down. And I want to kind of get back in the groove of making these videos. But I'm a little bit behind on most of the major free agency signings. So I don't really have much to say about those per se. I do want to talk about, as a Milwaukee Bucks fan, their draft day and the guy they ended up getting at around the 25th pick, I believe. Maybe it was the 26th. I'm not quite sure, but the guy we ended up drafting was Marjon Beauchamp, a guy that I was not really high on and a guy that I didn't really think we needed personally coming into the draft. But reading up about him and seeing what type of guy he is, the way he plays, I actually more excited about him as the time goes on. I can't believe how much I've changed my opinion on him from going into the draft to now when we drafted him. And that could be a little bit of bias just because I want him to succeed. But at the end of the day, whether it is or whether it isn't, I have some faith in him. And just the way he is, the way he plays, the way he has grown in the G League, a place where, you know, NBA-ready guys have come up from. And Jalen Green's an example of that. I think the Bucks hit it out of the park with this one. Now, a lot of people thought that they should have taken someone else. We had guys like Ty Washington on the board. E.J. Liddell is there. So there were options for the Bucks. And honestly, I could have seen them going with any of those guys and being completely fine with it. But at the end of the day, they went with Marjon Beauchamp, a guy that I'm pretty happy with. Now, we all know his three-point shooting is not the greatest. He had probably, I believe, shot around 30% the last few games of his G League career and across the season as a whole. Not the greatest percentage, but his jump shot has shown some consistency. It looks like it's something that can be fixed. And in my opinion, shooting is something that you can teach more than something that can't really be taught at such a high level, such as defense or playmaking, stuff like that. When we have a guy like Marjon Beauchamp coming in with great defensive capabilities, he is going to fit in amazing right next to Drew Holiday. And I really hope he gets some playing time, because if we've seen the actual guy we're getting in the G League, he can guard almost all 5 positions. He's a great defender. He can get you steals. He can get in front of the guy and stop them on fast breaks, on any type of play. He has just shown to be one of the most athletic and, in my opinion, one of the best defenders of this class. Not saying the best. There's a few guys that maybe do a little bit better than him on the defensive side of the ball, but I think he's definitely up there as far as being one of the better defenders coming into the draft or coming into the NBA after this draft. Now, that doesn't go without its faults. As we all know, his three-point shot leaves a lot left to be desired, but as I was saying, I feel like that's something we can teach him. That's something we can help him with. We've seen in the past the Bucks have drafted guys who have been great offensive weapons. Jabari Parker, a guy that, I mean, he did tear his ACL a few times, so that could have had a lot to do with it, but we all know how unsteady and unready he was to actually try on the defensive side of the ball, but he was a great offensive player. Never really panned out because he couldn't get his defense figured out. Jordan Nwora, a guy that we recently re-signed, a guy that I think could still have some contributions. He has shown so much promise on offense. He just needs to work out, needs to get bigger, and he needs to work on that defensive side of the ball. He has really not done much because he is such a bad defender. He gets exposed every time he's on the court, so that's really the main reason why he hasn't been able to get a spot in the rotation through these first 2 years. And granted, it's a lot harder to get a spot as a rookie when you're on a contending team, but if you're a good player, you're going to get on the court no matter what, and I hope that's what we're going to see through Marjon Beauchamp. He can come in. He has been okay in the mid-range, and he is amazing when it comes to the paint attack. He almost reminds me, play-style-wise, of a Giannis-type player. He just attacks the rim. He can get there at ease. He can make some crazy posters, and he just has a lot of athleticism that I haven't really seen from a lot of late first round picks the last few years, and that's why I'm really excited about what he can do for this team. And before you comment down below that we could have gotten other positions, absolutely we could have drafted other players, and time will only tell whether or not we should have. There's not really a way to actually be like, oh, well, you 100% should have drafted this guy, until one of them actually becomes good, or one's bad, one's a bust, one isn't good, something like that. That's the only way you can tell, but that's years down the road. Who knows? Maybe Marjon Beauchamp doesn't end up being any part of this Milwaukee Bucks rotation for a year or so, and he just gets to train. But I think with guys like Giannis, Drew, and Chris Middleton, and Marjon's coming in as yet another humble personality, a guy that's come from basically nothing. He was homeless for a while there. He had a very rough childhood and upbringing. I think that is only going to help him, and his work ethic is going to allow him to train with these guys. It's going to allow him to be able to get better and be the player we know he can be, and that's why I am the most excited about this pick. Obviously, we could have made other selections, but at the end of the day, we didn't, and now we have to be content with what we got, and that's why I am extremely excited to see what this guy can do for the Bucks. I hope he's going to get some playing time this year. Hopefully we don't have to see him only in garbage minutes. That's something we've struggled with the last few years with our rookies. DJ Wilson, a guy that didn't really get much playing time. Even Thon Maker, his first few years did not get much playing time. Obviously, he ended up being bad, as well as DJ Wilson. Both of them didn't pan out the way we expected them to, but maybe if they had been able to get a little bit more playing time early on in their careers, maybe they would have got something going, but we don't really know how that would have worked out. So hopefully we can get Beauchamp on the floor a little bit through these first few seasons for him, and I believe he can hopefully contribute in a finals contending team. How do you guys feel about this selection if you're a Bucks fan? I know a lot of people thought we reached on him, or thought we should have taken a different mold of player, since, you know, Giannis can't shoot threes efficiently, but I'm not exactly sure that's what we needed, or that's going to be an issue. I think our offense will still be more consistent without taking another three-point shooter, especially considering we brought back Bobby Portis and, you know, Javon Carter, guys that can shoot the three ball at a relatively high velocity or high volume. So how do you guys feel about this selection as Bucks fans or NBA fans in general? Thank you guys for joining me on my first video back. It feels great to be back in this situation. I missed it over the last 8 days. It's just been amazing seeing all the stuff going down. I hated not being able to talk about it, but I'm so glad to be back. Thank you guys for watching this one. I'll see you next time.